Hello and welcome to One Point Perspective. This lesson is geared towards 4th, 5th grade lesson, age level. And prior to this, boys and girls, we have been practicing our optical illusions. Remember, we started with that starburst, and then we worked our way into into making those 3D cubes. And so now we're going to start with 1 point perspective. And I've given you the choice of doing interior or exterior. So this video, I'm going to show you how to do the exterior, okay? Now, before I get too started, this is one example. It's not finished, but here's an example of, this is a large paper from a previous lesson. This is like looking down a city street with the buildings, okay? And then, this one, and again, I haven't finished this one. I have been swamped. I've had to do like 5 videos today. So I haven't been able to keep up with all my drawings, but this is an exterior that I'm working on right now. It's a little bit different, okay? So I'm gonna go through a couple of pictures to show you kind of an overview of how I started that drawing. And then I will do a demonstration to show you how to get it started, okay? So the step 1 is that you're gonna put in the horizon line, okay, and add the focal point. That focal point can go anywhere on your horizon line, okay, anywhere. Now, I do suggest you keep your horizon line somewhere in this range, somewhere between a halfway up your paper and 3/4 of the way up your paper. It can go higher and it can go lower, but that changes, it becomes more of a dramatic effect. And that might just be a little bit too much of a challenge for you. I don't know. Kind of got into that more when I taught 7th and 8th graders. So for 4th and 5th grade, I want you to kind of stick in this area because that will give us just a little bit easier, because it's a little bit more of our normal perspective, right? It's not altering it too much. All right, and so the next thing you're gonna do is put in your road, okay? Now, this road can become anything you want it to be. It could become, you know, it could be a highway in imaginary place. It could be a dirt road. It could be a river, whatever you want it to be in an exterior space. And then you're going to start adding details. So along that road, I put a fence. And what I want you to see here is I want you to see how all the lines are going back to the, well, it's cut off a little bit, but all of these lines, these front to back lines, the lines that are traveling away from us are going to the focal point, okay? They go from here and they were actually one continuous line, but then I added the posts that went up and down. So it's really important to know that there are basically 3 types of lines when doing this, okay? There are the lines that go back to the focal point. Then there are lines that go perpendicular to the bottom of the paper or parallel to the side. So you see the side of the paper here? Oops, I'm a little bit off. Okay, they're parallel. So if something's standing up, like the sides of a building, a person, a fence, it has to be parallel to the side of the paper. That is the upright position, okay? So that's one way to look at it. And then you're gonna have times when the lines have to be parallel to the bottom of the paper, which make it, let me change colors here, which make it perpendicular to this, to the poles or to the edges of the side of the paper, things that stand up. Okay, so those are the 3 rules. Those are the 3 rules I want you to remember. The 3 types of lines. Now you're gonna have other types of lines in there because you're gonna free draw some things. But for the most part, parallel, perpendicular, and to the focal point. And we talked about that a little bit with the cubes. All right. Come on. Oh, I gotta shut this off, sorry. All right, so here I started the house. Once again, I should picture without the focal point. So I'm gonna skip that for a minute and come to here. All right, so Here's my focal point. I'm going to show you a couple of lines here. That's going to the focal point. This is going to the focal point. This, the top of that little roof, going to the focal point, okay, because it's traveling away from you. This little edge down here, going to the focal point. Anything that is traveling from front to back is going to the focal point, okay? Even this tree, I put the tree here, the focal point, here's the focal point, and you put a line right here, and that shows the height of the rest of the trees, like you'll see in the next picture. Okay, now, before I go to the next page though, let's look for parallel lines. Look at the side of the house. Remember I said anything that's standing up like the side of the line, the side of the house? These are parallel to what? The edge of the paper. The roof line here, here to here. And this bottom part here, this section and this section, oops, perpendicular to the blue lines, but parallel to the bottom of the paper. My paper's a little curled right there when I was taking the picture. All right, so you see that? So even the lines in the windows, the ones that are going away from us, all of these lines, all of these ones are going back to the focal point, every single one. And then the ones going up and down are parallel to the edges of the house, which are parallel to the edge of the paper. All right. All right, and then yeah, you can see here, I put the, oops, sorry. Here's my focal point. There was the line right there. And you can see I drew the trees. They get smaller and smaller. So it determines the size for you. So remember in second grade when we did the perspective farms, this one right here. Remember when we had to do the pumpkins, make them smaller and smaller to fit inside the rows on the farm? Well, that was preparing you for this, okay? Except now you're doing it a little bit more accurately. All right, and I think then I added the background. So you can add, yeah, I just put hills back here. You can put anything you want, okay? All right, so it's kind of hard to demonstrate what you need because I don't know what you're going to put into your picture. So I'm showing you the rules and then you can take them and create whatever you would like, okay? So first thing you're gonna need is your paper and a ruler, okay? Now I have my straight edge that I like to use at home. This helps me be a little bit more accurate, but if you don't have a ruler, you can fold the paper, remember, and fold it the long way if you need a longer ruler. So remember the first thing you're gonna do is put in your horizon line. And I said between halfway and 3/4 of the way up your paper. So there's your horizon line. And for now, just make it straight, okay? If you wanna change it into rolling hills later, that's fine, but for now, you're gonna make it straight. And then choose where you want to put your focal point. I'll put it over here since it was over here in my other example. Now, boys and girls, you want that dot to be little. Now I kind of made it a little bit big there so you could see it, but it's kind of above the line. You really want to be as accurate as you can because that will help you with the optical illusion. So remember the next thing you're going to do is add the road. So I'm going to put it something like this. And of course you can make it as wide as you want. You know, if you want to make it like somewhat like you're standing in the road, you could do it like this. You could do it really wide, okay? And then you start your house or your buildings. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first one you're gonna do is the facade that you're facing, the one that appears normal, okay? So it's not going away from you, it's straight. You're looking straight at it. So you're gonna do parallel to the bottom of the paper first. Make the bottom part of the house first. So I'm gonna just come do this like that. All right, so it's parallel to the bottom of the paper. And the way to think of that is this is the ground, okay? I hate to say that because that's not the, this is all the ground here below the, sorry, my phone just rang and I had to, leave it to the phone to ring while you're in the middle of recording. Okay, so then you're gonna go and you're gonna make the sides of that first part going up. So that has to be parallel to the side of the paper, this side. Okay, now it's different length, that's okay, I'm gonna fix that. Now the top has to be parallel to the bottom. You've never gone and looked at a house and had the bottom be straight and the top be like this, right? The top of the house, the ceiling has to be parallel to the bottom of the house. So make sure this line here is parallel to the bottom, which is parallel to the bottom of the paper and the top of the paper for that matter. Erase that line. All right, now here's where you're gonna see the cube that we were doing. Each one of these corners is gonna go back to this dot, our focal point. That's just like the cubes. Lightly, lightly, lightly. Draw your lines lightly. Oh, boys and girls, when that gets to be too bright. I tried different color papers. It doesn't seem to work. All right, there's 2. And all right, that's just like the cubes, right? Okay, but your house isn't that long, right? It doesn't go all the way to the distance. That'd be quite a house. Your heating bill would be enormous. So where do you want it to end? Now, this is one of the places that gets a little tricky for some kids. They tend to want to turn, just like in the cubes, when you did the design from the side I talked about, they tend to want to turn like that. But you can't do that. Remember, it's part of the house is standing up. It has to be perpendicular to the ground, which means it's parallel to the side of the paper. It has to be parallel to this line too. So keep it the same. Use your ruler to line up with this corner to drop that back line in. And then that automatically tells you where the top one is. Now, you're not probably gonna see this. Once we put the roof on, you're actually not gonna see that level, but that's where it would go, okay? All right, so now we can erase this because we don't see that. All right, so now I'm gonna show you to put the roof on. So I'm just gonna do a traditional triangle roof. So this is like the middle here. I'm gonna come up above here, above the horizon line, kind of in the middle. I'm gonna eye it, you can measure it. And this is gonna be normal. Again, you're gonna come down to each of the corners. Okay, now this you can see already, this is going through it. The house is not see-through, so we're gonna be erasing these lines. But we had to put them in there in order to build. And then we go from, this is going away from us now, whoops. This is going away from us, so put your pencil here on the dot, line it up with the focal point, and extend it back, okay? Now, the back side of the house has to be parallel to this side, right? You've never looked at a side of a house and seen it being crooked, unless it's really old, right? And it's starting to sag. So sometimes what I like to do is line my ruler up like this and just gently slide it back, just keeping it in that position until you see the corner. There it is. And put it in. And you have the outside, your outline of your house. Now you can go in here, of course, and you can erase the lines that you don't see. You're not gonna see the ground through the house. You're not gonna see this side, back side of the house. All right. Now, just one more thing I'm gonna show you because otherwise this video is gonna be way too long. It's probably already long. So the front part of it here, you're gonna draw normal, okay? If you want a door here, a window here, you're just gonna draw the same way you always would before. Just keep those lines parallel and perpendicular, right? because we're looking straight at it. Here, however, it's going away from you. So that means you're gonna have to put the lines going away from you back to the focal point. So here's the top of the windows. I want to put windows in. Now I'm not drawing it all the way back here. I'm holding it in position. If you feel you can do that and not get messed up, then by all means. But if you feel like it messes you up and you can't really see what you're doing, you can draw the whole line. So that's the top of the windows of the first floor, bottom of the windows. The sides, the parts that go up and down, have to be parallel to the side of the wall, the side of the house. Okay, you see, that's a long window. Of course, you can come in here and you can break it up and make it into separate windows. Oh, I'm a little crooked. You can see it. Did you see that? I did that too fast. Line it up, make sure it's parallel. That's better. Okay, I think that one's off a little bit too. All right, so draw lightly because you will have to adjust just like I did. But those are the 3 rules. Parallel, perpendicular, and back to the focal point. All right, so I will be, well, I'll either be sitting here on Zoom with you while you practice and I can see what you're doing and re-demonstrate as needed, or I will be in the classroom with you and I can answer your questions there. Okay? All right, great. Talk to you later. Have fun.